Welcome to World of Wonders. Today, we're diving into 10 of the strangest, most fascinating historical facts that you've probably never heard of. Get ready to journey through time and uncover the oddities that make our past so wonderfully weird. We are World of Wonders, and if you love discovering the strange and unusual, you're in for a treat. Let's jump right into our list of 10 weird historic facts. Number 10. In the heart of Scotland lies a bridge shrouded in mystery and sorrow. A place where over 600 dogs have met an untimely end. Welcome to the infamous Overtoun Bridge, the Dog Death Bridge. Bridges with bad reputations aren't something you stumble upon every day, but Overtoun Bridge is one such structure. For decades, this beautiful stone bridge has been the site of a chilling phenomenon, dogs leaping over its walls, plummeting to their deaths below. The enduring mystery of Scotland's spooky suicide bridge continues to baffle scientists and psychologists alike. What could be driving these beloved pets to take such a fatal leap? Some locals whisper about the White Lady of Overtoun, a ghostly figure from the nearby manor house, whose presence might be luring the dogs to their doom. Others claim it's simply curiosity that killed the dog. But one recent theory offers a more scientific explanation. Minks, small mammals that live in the undergrowth surrounding and underneath the bridge, emit a smell that is utterly irresistible to dogs. Experiments have shown that dogs are drawn to this scent, potentially explaining their fatal attraction to the bridge. Despite these findings, the bridge's ominous reputation remains. Local authorities have even put up signs warning dog owners of the danger. Now, a sign reading "Dangerous Bridge. Please keep your dog on a lead" marks the spot of many dogs' last steps. Number 9. Some people are born survivors, and then there's Violet Jessop, the woman who refused to go down with the ship 3 times. Violet Jessop was a true marvel. Diagnosed with tuberculosis as a child, doctors gave her just months to live. But Violet defied the odds and not only survived, but also outlived some of the most infamous maritime disasters in history. In 1910, Violet took a job as a stewardess on the RMS Olympic. Just a year later, the massive liner collided with a British warship. Miraculously, everyone on board survived, including Violet. After that, in 1912, Violet set sail on the maiden voyage of the RMS Titanic. For days into the journey, disaster struck as the ship hit an iceberg. Violet was among the fortunate few who made it into a lifeboat, surviving the freezing waters of the North Atlantic. But her luck didn't end there. In 1916, while serving as a nurse on the RMS Britannic, Violet faced yet another catastrophe. An unexplained explosion sank the ship in the Aegean Sea. Once again, Violet emerged unscathed from the wreckage. Violet Jessop earned the nickname Miss Unsinkable for her extraordinary string of survivals. After living through not 1, not 2, but 3 maritime disasters, she continued her life at sea, finally retiring in 1950. Miss Unsinkable lived a full life, passing away peacefully in 1971 at the age of 83. Number 8. Bermuda, an island paradise known for its beauty and tranquility, hides a chilling story that defies belief. A tale of 2 brothers, 2 tragic accidents, and 1 unique coincidence. In 1975, 17-year-old Erskine Eben was riding his moped through the streets of Bermuda. It was an ordinary day, but what happened next was anything but ordinary. Erskine was struck and killed by a taxi. Heartbreaking, but even more so when you hear the rest of the story. Just 1 year earlier, Erskine's older brother Neville, also 17, had met the same tragic fate. Riding the very same moped, Neville was struck and killed by a taxi. But here's where it gets truly bizarre. The taxi involved was the same vehicle, driven by the same driver, and even carrying the same passenger. Both accidents occurred at the same intersection, under eerily similar circumstances. Some say the accidents happened exactly 1 year apart, adding another layer to this spine-chilling coincidence. Too strange to be true? Perhaps. But the tragic story of the Eben brothers serves as a haunting reminder of the unpredictability of life and the unfathomable coincidences that sometimes occur. Number 7. Identical twins sharing lives is nothing new, but how about a pair of identical twins brought up by different families who lived almost identical lives? Meet Jim Springer and Jim Lewis, two brothers whose story defies the odds and redefines the meaning of the twin bond. Born in Ohio, Jim Springer and Jim Lewis were separated at birth and adopted by different families. Despite this separation, their lives took parallel paths in ways that are almost too uncanny to believe. Both were named James by their adoptive parents, both had a childhood dog named Toy, and they grew up in the suburbs of Ohio, just 72 kilometers or 45 miles apart. But the coincidences didn't stop there. As adults, both Jims married twice, first to women named Linda, then to women named Betty. They each had a first son named James Allen, drove Chevrolets, and even served as sheriffs in different counties in Ohio. Their incredible story culminated in 1979 when, at the age of 39, Jim Springer and Jim Lewis finally met. Discovering their identical lives and shared experiences was a monumental moment that changed their lives forever. Number 6. The Victorian era, known for its strict discipline and harsh punishments, saw prisoners subjected to a unique and grueling form of punishment, the treadmill. Many Victorian prisons were fitted with treadmills, not the kind you'd find in today's gyms, but punishing devices designed to break the spirit. Prisoners would spend hours grinding flour to earn their keep, climbing the equivalent of 2,200 meters or 7,200 feet in a single, grueling 8-hour shift. Originally intended to be a useful form of hard labor, these treadmills were used to grind grain. However, by the end of the 19th century, the task of grinding grain was handed over to factories, but the prisons kept their treadmills. Without the need for flour, the treadmills took on a new role, pure punishment. Prisoners were forced to climb endlessly, not for productivity, but as a means of discipline and control. Number 5. The Eiffel Tower, a symbol of French pride and ingenuity, stands tall and proud over Paris. But did you know that it was once sold, not once, but twice, by a master con artist? Meet Victor Lustig, the man who pulled off one of history's most audacious crimes. In 1925, Victor Lustig, a Czechoslovakian-born con artist, noticed that post-war France was struggling to maintain its beloved Eiffel Tower. Seeing an opportunity, Lustig devised a daring plan to sell the tower for scrap. Under the guise of the Deputy Director General of the Ministère des Postes et Telegraphs, Lustig entered talks with 5 scrap metal dealers. He spun a tale of government plans to dismantle the costly tower, urging the dealers to keep quiet to avoid a public outcry. Lustig set his sights on André Poisson, an ambitious dealer eager to make a name for himself. Lustig's charm and convincing story led Poisson to hand over a bag of cash, believing he had secured the deal of a lifetime. But when Poisson went to claim his 7,000 tons of steel, the authorities denied any knowledge of the sale. Humiliated and too embarrassed to report the scam, Poisson remained silent, allowing Lustig to escape with the money. Buoyed by his success, Lustig fled to Vienna, but his greed brought him back to Paris a few weeks later to try the same trick on another group of scrap dealers. This time, one of his would-be victims went to the police. The authorities were hot on his trail, but Lustig, always the slippery trickster, managed to escape arrest. Number 4. The French Revolution, a time of turmoil and change, gave rise to many unforgettable images. Among them, the tricoteuses, women who quietly knitted as the guillotine dropped, embodying a chilling juxtaposition of domestic tranquility and brutal violence. In France, the term tricoteuse typically refers to any lady who enjoys knitting. But in the 18th century, it took on a far more sinister meaning. As the flames of the French Revolution were stoked, thousands of working-class women flooded the streets to protest against high food prices and chronic shortages. Initially, these women were hailed as heroines by the revolutionary government, their fierce activism a symbol of the people's struggle. However, as their behavior grew increasingly rowdy and disruptive, the government saw them as a nuisance. Eventually, they were banned from attending political assemblies. Undeterred, the tricoteuses found a new way to make their presence felt. They gathered at the Place de la Révolution, where the guillotine stood as a grim centerpiece of justice. Here, they would sit quietly knitting, their needles clicking rhythmically as they watched head after head roll. This eerie image, women calmly knitting amid the chaos of public executions, became a powerful symbol of the revolution's darker side. Number 3. Fate has a funny way of catching up with us. In 1893, Henry Ziegland thought he had narrowly escaped death. Little did he know that a bullet meant for him would find its mark 20 years later in the most astonishing way. Henry Ziegland's life took a tragic turn after a bitter breakup. His ex-girlfriend, heartbroken, took her own life. Her grieving brother, consumed by anger, sought revenge with a gun. He confronted Ziegland, fired, and believed he had avenged his sister's death. But Ziegland's luck held strong. The bullet only grazed him, lodging itself in a tree behind him. The brother, thinking he had avenged his sister, turned the gun on himself. Ziegland, hailed as the luckiest man alive, continued his life, the bullet embedded in the tree a silent testament to his narrow escape. 2 decades passed, and Ziegland decided it was time to remove the old tree from his property. The tree had grown thick and stubborn, resisting Ziegland's attempts to saw through it. Frustrated, he resorted to using dynamite to bring it down. With the explosives in place, Ziegland lit the fuse. The resulting blast sent wood and debris flying. In an incredible twist of fate, the bullet that had been lodged in the tree for 20 years was propelled out by the explosion. Astonishingly, the bullet struck Ziegland, hitting its intended target at last. The man who had once escaped death was killed instantly by the very same bullet, 20 years after it was fired. Number 2. The Roaring Twenties, a time of jazz, flappers, and changing social norms. But on the beaches of Atlantic City, a different kind of change was causing a stir, the evolution of women's swimwear. In 1921, a police officer was captured on camera measuring the length of a woman's swimsuit. This wasn't a rare occurrence. Swimwear, once designed to cover the entire female figure, had evolved dramatically, and not everyone was happy about it. In the 19th century, women's bathing attire consisted of long dresses and bloomers, modest and cumbersome, designed to hide as much as possible. But as the new century dawned, so did a new attitude toward fashion and freedom. By 1921, the armless one-piece swimsuit, known as the maillot, had become the new norm. It was a far cry from the heavy, full-body bathing dresses of the past. These swimsuits allowed for more movement and a sense of liberation that resonated with the spirit of the times. Yet, this newfound freedom wasn't universally accepted. Authorities in places like Atlantic City took it upon themselves to enforce modesty standards, measuring swimsuits to ensure they weren't too revealing. Women who failed the length test could be fined or even arrested. Number 1. The tragic fate of Princess Anastasia, the youngest daughter of Tsar Nicholas II, has captivated the world for over a century. After the brutal execution of the Romanov family by the Bolshevik secret police in 1918, rumors swirled that Anastasia had somehow escaped the massacre. The mystery deepened when her body was not found alongside her parents and 3 sisters. This absence fueled speculation and hope that she had survived. Over the years, several women came forward, each claiming to be the lost princess. Let's delve into the stories of 3 of the most famous Anastasia imposters, each with their own tale of intrigue and deception. In 1920, Nadezhda Vasilieva emerged in Siberia while traveling to China. Arrested by the authorities, she sent desperate letters to British King George V, pleading for help. Despite her claims, Vasilieva ended her days in an insane asylum in Kazan, where the head of the hospital remarked that except for her claim that she was Anastasia, she was completely sane. Eugenia Smith, though less famous than some, added to the mystery with her 1963 book, Autobiography of H.I.H. Anastasia Nikolaevna of Russia. In it, she detailed her supposed life as part of the Russian imperial family. Yet, as the years passed, Smith distanced herself from the claim and even refused a DNA test shortly before her death in 1997. Anna Anderson, perhaps the most well-known imposter, surfaced in Germany in the 1920s. Born Franziska Szankowska, a Polish factory worker, Andersen's story captivated the world. Despite her lack of Russian and the rejection of her claims by Romanov relatives, she found support from unexpected quarters, including Rasputin's daughter. Andersen's tale even inspired a 1956 film starring Ingrid Bergman. The truth about Anastasia's fate remained elusive until 2007, when the discovery of her remains alongside her family finally put the rumors to rest. DNA testing confirmed that all the imposters, including Vasilyeva, Smith, and Andersen, were frauds. From haunted bridges and unsinkable women to con artists and uncanny coincidences, history never ceases to surprise us with its bizarre and fascinating tales. We hope you enjoyed this journey through some of history's weirdest moments. If you have your own strange historical facts or stories, share them with us in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to like this video if you found it interesting, and subscribe to World of Wonders for more incredible stories from around the globe. Stay curious, stay inspired, and until next time, keep exploring the wonders of our world. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next adventure.